But as far as the Francis side of the equation, would he be more than willing to go to the table, you think?
Oh, 100%. I think this is more about business than it is about ego. At least it is from Francis's side. You know, he wants the opportunity to be paid for, like, it's like being an independent contractor, you know, like your services to be paid the highest amount for whoever needs your services for. He doesn't want to be stuck in a position where he's not allowed to go box or he's not allowed to go do these things. But he went out and did those things and he competed and he made a lot of good, you know, a lot of money and proved that he could do it. So now where does his motivations come from, right? It's not about money, it's about competition. So, and the best competition's in the UFC. I think Dana is a smart enough businessman that it's not about his ego, it's about what's best for his company. And I think that a guy like Dana is level-headed enough to say, like, look, like, the past is the past, and we can get through those things. If these things can work out for us in the future, why not? Why not explore those options? Because I mean, look at the heavyweight division right now, bro. What's going on, right? You got this poor guy in Tom Aspinall's been holding on to an interim belt for almost 600 days now. Like, what are we doing here? You know, so, and I'm not saying that Francis is the answer, but it at least adds some more value to your heavyweight division if you go out and get a guy like him and bring him back and, you know, let bygones be bygones. Everybody's making money, everybody's happy, but it gets things moving.
He's kind of wild when you really think about it. The entire UFC heavyweight division might end up being saved by the two guys that Jon Jones has spent years ducking, Francis Ngannou and Tom Aspinall. Let that sink in. Jones was supposed to be the king who came in and stabilized the division, right? He was supposed to beat Stipe, maybe one more guy, and cement his legacy as the greatest ever. But the reality, he hasn't even fought a real heavyweight in his prime. Not Francis, not Tom. And now that Francis Ngannou might be open to returning to the UFC, it throws the whole landscape into chaos. And I mean that in the best way, because Jon's been holding the division hostage. He's been teasing retirement, picking his opponents, delaying everything. And for a while, it looked like the UFC was letting him do that. He had all the leverage. They gave him exactly what he wanted. Stipe Miocic, who hadn't fought in years. No pressure to fight Aspinall. No mention of Francis. Just a cozy little matchup to build his resume and walk out on his own terms. But now, Francis is circling back. He's open to a UFC return. And not just open. Willing. He's willing to set aside personal beef, the drama with Dana White, the contract fallout, all of it. Francis wants to fight the best. And in 2025, that means Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones. So imagine this. All of a sudden, the UFC doesn't need Jon Jones. They've got Francis Ngannou and Tom Aspinall, the two most dangerous heavyweights on the planet, willing to fight each other. That's a super fight. That's a massive event. That's TV deal material right there. Jon thought he was controlling the whole board. But this is the curveball. The UFC could move on without him. They could literally let him retire in peace, because Ngannou versus Aspinall sells just fine without him. And the moment that becomes a reality, look who suddenly changes his tone. Jon Jones. He went from, I don't care about the Aspinall fight, to, I'm hearing Ngannou's still interested. Now we're talking. Classic Jon. Because the second that the UFC looks like it can succeed without him, Jon jumps back in the mix. He starts campaigning. He posts poetic stuff on Twitter. Two kings from different roads, not just one legend facing a mouth that's hot right now. Did he just call Aspinall a mouth that's hot right now? Seriously? Jones does not want to fight Tom. He never has. But now that Francis is back in the picture, Jones is trying to reframe the story like it was always about legacy. Like he's just chasing the biggest challenge. Like it was never about avoiding the young guys. Come on, the truth is, Jones wants the Ngannou fight because he sees the payday. According to Ariel Helwani, the UFC already agreed to pay Jon a lot of money for a potential fight with Tom Aspinall. So, Jon's thinking, why not take that big paycheck and use it on Francis instead? Bigger name, more casual interest. Legacy defining stuff. But here's the catch. Francis is still under contract with the PFL, and that's where things get complicated. The PFL gave him a massive deal. He had one fight. That fight nearly collapsed the entire promotion. Can they even afford to give him another fight? Probably not. And if they can't deliver the number of fights in his contract, Francis might be able to walk. If there's no exclusivity clause, or if they can't pay him, they might have to. Let him go to the UFC. Now the question becomes, will Dana White allow it? We know the history. Dana does not like Francis Ngannou. He trashed him on the way out, downplayed his accomplishments, even said he doesn't want to take risks. But Francis proved everyone wrong. He fought Tyson Fury and arguably beat him. He fought Anthony Joshua. He made life-changing money and cemented his global name. He doesn't need the UFC anymore, but he still wants the fights. And here's the thing. Francis doesn't want to fight 5 times. He doesn't want to build his way back up. He wants 2 fights, maximum, Jones and Aspinall. That's it. That's his legacy. That's the mountain he wants to climb. And if we're being honest, that's all he needs to do. Imagine the scenario. Francis comes back, fights Jon Jones, knocks him out. Boom. Massive redemption. Then he turns around and challenges Tom Aspinall. That would be insane. If he beats both? There's no question. Francis Ngannou becomes the greatest heavyweight in MMA history. No debate. Not Stipe, not Fedor, not Kane, not DC. Francis Ngannou, the man who KO'd Jon Jones and beat Tom Aspinall in back-to-back fights after leaving the UFC, going to boxing, and coming back as a free agent. That's legendary stuff. But let's flip it. What if Tom Aspinall beats Francis? That changes everything too, because now Jon Jones is staring at a monster who just beat the man he ducked. That win gives Aspinall the credibility Jones claims he doesn't have. That win erases the legacy excuses, and if Jon still refuses to fight him after that, the entire sport will see it for what it is. Aspinall, at that point, would have beaten Pavlovich, Blades, Tuivasa, maybe Gain, and Francis Ngannou. That's a resume. Then if he gets Jones, that's game over. GOAT-level status. He ties or beats Stipe's title defense record, has wins over top contenders, and holds the undisputed title. At that point, even Fedor fans can't say anything. And if Jon Jones refuses to fight Tom after all that, the UFC should just strip him. Make Tom the undisputed champ, promote him like crazy, and let Jon ride off into the sunset with his hand-picked win over Stipe. Because here's the reality. The UFC is heading into a new media rights deal. That's their priority right now. They need big fights, big names, and if Francis Ngannou is willing to fight, they have to make it happen. It's good for business, it's good for fans, and it finally breathes life back into the heavyweight division. So the entire division right now hangs on one decision. Will the UFC re-sign Francis Ngannou? If they do, everything changes. The Jones versus Ngannou fight finally happens. Tom Aspinall gets the shot he's earned. The division resets, the chaos gets sorted, and the fans get the best matchups possible. If they don't, Jon Jones retires without ever fighting the best. Aspinall defends his interim belt again, and the UFC has to try to sell the public on Stipe versus Jones in 2025. Let's hope they make the right call.